So if you're a regular viewer here at Top Spec, you might have noticed a significant increase in quality in our recent videos. This is mainly due to us switching cameras. We used to film with a Panasonic Lumix G7 and a Sony a6300, and we recently made a major upgrade to a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro. Quite the mouthful. So along with switching the cameras, we also decided to upgrade our light system. So beforehand, Chris would just use the light coming through his window, and I would use a cheap Amazon LED light panel that had very harsh lighting, and I would always have it centered right on the middle of the camera, right on top of it on the hot shoe slot, so the light was just coming right onto my face, and it was very ugly and very harsh. So we decided with the new camera we would get a new light, and that's what I'm going to be making a video on today. So we went with the Amaran 100X from Aperture, and we're going to get into my unboxing and first impressions of it today. More on that after the intro. Welcome to Top Spec. If you're new around here, we're your one-stop shop for weekly tech content. So if that sounds like your thing, feel free to join us by pressing that red subscribe button down below. So before I get into any technical details on this light, I will let you guys know that I am not a gaffer, or I'm not any kind of lighting professional of any kind. So this video is going to be more of a average consumer point of view and how easy it was to unbox and set up. I do know a little bit about lighting, like intensity and color temperature and that kind of thing, but that's pretty much just the basic knowledge. This entire video is also going to be shot with the Amaran 600X lighting my face. I currently have the light set to 5000 Kelvin at 20% intensity, with the camera at f1.7 1/60th of a second shutter speed and 1000 ISO. And also on the light, I have a 26-inch softbox from Neewer, which I purchased on Amazon for I think around $60. So if you like the way that this looks, you might want to check out that softbox as well. So with all that stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the unboxing of this light. So getting into the unboxing of the Amaran 100X, the light comes in two boxes pretty much. The exterior box is just a basic cardboard box with some tape, which as you can see I'm opening now. Now taking a look at the inside, we have a white box with a black handle that can be pulled out of the cardboard box. And here we have the actual white box that the light comes in. As you can see, it shows the specifications of the bicolor and how it works with the Bluetooth Sidus Link app. And we're going to turn it around so that we can get to opening it. Alrighty, so looking inside, it looks like we have 4 different aperture stickers as well as some information on the Sidus Link app. And then just the regular quick start guide or manual. Then we have the little hood thing that goes on the end of the light, which we probably won't be using. And then we have one end of the power cable that gets plugged in directly to the light, and now we have the piece of the cable that gets plugged in to the rest of the cable, and this goes directly into the outlet. And now we have the light itself, the Amaran 100X. So overall, the unboxing experience is pretty nice. They have really good protective packaging with some nice sleek designs on the outside. So although there isn't too much for me to compare this light to, since we don't own any other professional lights like another Aperture light or something like that, this light's build quality is actually pretty decent. Coming in at $250, that is kind of on the low end of professional studio lighting, so they definitely invested a lot more of their resources into the internals of the light and creating good quality light for a cheap price. Or I guess I should say more inexpensive price, because $250 is not cheap. So most of the housing of the actual light is made of plastic, but the plastic is very rigid and does not feel like it's prone to break whatsoever. One thing that's really fantastic about this light's build is its overall footprint. This light is significantly smaller than pretty much every other Aperture light out there. So that makes it really good for if you're moving it between shooting locations or something like that. It's also very lightweight, so you can put it in a bag easily and carry it with you between shoots. This light also features a very large tilt adjustment handle, so if you wanted to tilt the light down or up, it's really easy to do so. This light can also be easily mounted on a stand. I will note though, depending on what stand you have, you got to be careful not to bump it, especially on the main stem of the stand. So if you have it on a cheaper stand like I do, I have a simple Amazon Basics stand, just be careful what you're doing and try not to bump into it, because you could technically knock over your light very easily. So at the front of this light is the ever popular Bowens mount, which more and more softbox manufacturers are using for their softboxes. And so what I have set up right here is the 26-inch softbox from Neewer. You could definitely go with something much bigger than what I have set up, but I have a smaller space, so I couldn't really fit a really big softbox. So technically I could have even softer lighting if I really wanted to. So keep that in mind. The lighting can definitely change drastically depending on what kind of softbox you have. Also, I would highly recommend to you, if you're considering getting this light, you should definitely get a softbox with it. Without it, the light is extremely, extremely harsh. And with this softbox, you get much softer lighting quality, and softer light on the face is definitely much more flattering and is a lot easier to look at. So getting back to the actual light itself, it does have a small screen on the back of the light, which allows you to control the intensity and the color temperature with 2 knobs. So as you'd expect with a lower end light like this, the knobs are not super sturdy and they do kind of wiggle back and forth when you're rotating them. So I would recommend definitely being careful with them because I feel like they could probably snap off pretty easily. So in general, the build quality of the Amaran 100X definitely has room for improvement, but I'd say it's definitely passable for what kind of lighting you're getting with this light. You're pretty much getting professional level lighting, and so obviously Aperture had to sacrifice some things on the build quality in order to provide that. So a lot of these imperfections are definitely justifiable in my eyes. So with the unboxing and the build quality out of the way, let's go ahead and get into some of the more technical specifications of the Amaran 100X. The Amaran 100X is a bicolor LED light with adjustable brightness and color temperature, which means it can pretty much adapt to whatever shoot you may be doing. So it's very flexible and very adaptable. For example, most say the color temperature of direct sunlight is between 5600 and 5900 Kelvin. So if you're on a shoot with direct sunlight and you wanted maybe a light source to fill in shadows somewhere on a subject, you could use this light and just set the color temperature knob to a daylight color temperature. Or if you wanted to use it in a shot, maybe with a house lamp or something like that, which is a much warmer light source, you could definitely still use this light for that and just turn the color temperature to a more warm color. Or if you're doing something like I'm doing right now and shooting YouTube videos in your bedroom, you could set up the light to be a daylight color temperature and then have the camera's white balance setting be on the daylight setting, and it'll give your skin a very natural appearance. If you wanted to save a little cash, you could even purchase the Amaran 100D, which essentially is just a daylight version of the 100X instead of it being bicolor. So if you're not a person who's traveling to different sets and adapting the light to be different color temperatures, you could definitely get away with using that light because it's $50 cheaper, and it does pretty much everything this one does aside from changing the color temperature. So when it comes to brightness of this light gets crazy bright. It seriously does not mess around. There are plenty of niche specifications listed on Aperture's website as well, which we will have linked down below if you're interested. But in general, this light is extremely versatile in the intensity department. You can turn this light's intensity up to be almost blinding, and then you can turn it down to be pretty much almost entirely dim. This light has a 100 watt output. That's where it gets the 100 in the name, which means it has half the output wattage as the 200D and 200X, which are the higher level lights in this series of lights. But like I said before, even with the 100 watt option, you get an extremely bright light. So don't think that just because this is one of the lower end lights that it's going to be dim or won't get you good quality light. So since this light has an extremely versatile intensity, that means that you could use this light at a wide variety of f-stops when you're shooting videos or films. Right now, like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm shooting at f1.7 and I only have the light at 20%, which means it's only a fifth of the way at its full capacity. So if I were to close down the aperture of the lens much more, I could crank up the brightness of the light in order to get a better exposure. One other really cool feature that this light has is that this light, along with all the other lights in the series, are compatible with Aperture's Sidus Link app, which pretty much allows you to control the color temperature and intensity of the light from your cell phone. So this is a really great feature to have because then you won't have to get out of the shot to adjust these things if you are shooting by yourself or if you have a very limited crew. So being fairly uneducated on the minute details of lighting and how to properly light a video, the Amaran 100X can be a very forgiving light and is extremely easy to use and set up. Simply watching a video on YouTube on how to properly light a video or how to get the look that you're going for can make a night and day difference between your YouTube videos, films, or whatever else you may be using the light for. My only recommendation to you, like I said before, is to get a softbox for this light. If you're shooting a human subject of any kind for a YouTube video or an interview or a film, get a softbox. It creates a much more flattering look, and without it, the lighting is extremely harsh and hard to look at. So getting a softbox really of any kind does a great job diffusing the light and making a much more professional looking image. And you don't even have to spend too much cash to get a decent softbox. Before I bought mine, I watched several videos on comparing the professional level softboxes to more entry level ones, and there really is not too much of a difference. Especially if you just went and spent $250 on a light, the last thing you want is to spend around half that on a softbox for that light. We will leave an Amazon affiliate link to both the Amaran 100X and the softbox that we are using in the description down below. We're a fairly small YouTube channel, so if you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. It really helps us out and really helps us get these videos out to more tech enthusiasts like yourself. Anyways, that's about it. I'm Connor, and this is Top Spec. We'll see you next week.